Echoes of New Earth, Episode 4, The Hidden Layer. The winter air in Sector 9 carried the scent of rust and static. Every breath Rhea Calder took tasted of ozone, like the world was caught in a perpetual electrical storm just below the skin of reality. Under her feet, the ferrocrete of the old tram lines groaned softly, riddled with microfractures from years of neglect. She walked with purpose, though her eyes betrayed the tremor of uncertainty that shadowed each step. It had been 2 weeks since the neural broadcast that sparked the shift. Across New Earth, silence had become suspect. The once comforting rhythm of routine, wake, work, rest, now felt hollow. Like an echo reverberating through a hollow shell. Something had cracked in the populace. It wasn't loud, not yet, but it was spreading. People had begun to pause. Not sleep. Not daydream. Just stop. In alleys. On factory floors. On hyperloop platforms. Faces blank. Minds elsewhere. The overseer claimed it was neural recalibration fatigue. A temporary side effect of atmospheric stabilization protocols. But those who had tasted the raw feed, the uncensored memory threads, knew the truth. They were remembering. And the overseer didn't know how to stop it. Rhea stood at the entrance to the old library archives, a monolithic structure buried beneath the academy ruins. Officially sealed since the data purge of 2160, it was now little more than a ghost story passed between rebel channels. Toven stepped beside her, his breath forming pale clouds in the dim morning light. He was wrapped in a frayed coat patched with woven signal blockers and old brass buttons, fashioned more from necessity than nostalgia. "You're sure this is the node?" he asked. Rhea nodded. Echo Unit 5 confirmed it. Pre-silence archive stack. Analog substrate. Nothing the overseer can clean. "Then this is our last shot," Toven muttered, and pressed his gloved palm against the sensor plate. The door groaned open with mechanical reluctance. Not because of disrepair, but because it remembered. The doors of the old world had been designed to resist abandonment. Inside, it was quiet. Not the sterile, artificial hush of modern sectors, but true silence. The kind that lives between stone and wire. The kind that holds breath for centuries. They descended narrow stairs lit by dying emergency strips. The archive levels were tiered like catacombs, rows of monolithic drives embedded into the walls, each humming faintly with forgotten voices. "What exactly are we looking for?" Toven asked. "A key," Rhea replied, "hidden in noise." He raised an eyebrow. Back when they were testing early cognition substrates, the overseer ran experimental dreamscapes. Uncurated. Untethered. Some said the results drove test subjects mad. But others became lucid. They began storing data, consciously encoding memories inside the noise. "And you think someone left us a message?" "Not someone," she said, running her hand along a rusted drive casing. "My mother." Toven stilled. "You said she died during the second calibration." "She did," Rhea said. "But she worked here first." Deep in sublevel 3, they found the node. It wasn't marked. Just a blank terminal, half buried beneath collapsed shelving. But when Rhea plugged in the capsule, a fragment from her mother's old BioWare, it pulsed to life. The screen flickered. Static gave way to waveform pulses. Not video. Not text. Sound. A voice emerged, low and blurred by decades of degradation. "If you're hearing this, then the directive is unraveling." Rhea's breath caught. Her mother's voice. "Memory is recursion," the message continued. "Each loop becomes stronger." The system thought it could contain thought. It forgot what memory is. There was a pause. Then. "The root key is hidden in Dream Tier Crossflow. 5 echoes. Aligned at nodes Omega, Phi, Theta, Delta, Sigma." Then silence. No signature. No metadata. Just the soft whir of a machine remembering. "This changes everything," Toven whispered. Rhea nodded slowly. "We don't need to fight the overseer head-on. We just need to find those echoes. And if we do, we inject the truth straight into the mesh. Not a protest. Not a revolution. A memory. One so strong, it can't be filtered." He looked down the hall, into the depths of the archive. "Then let's find your ghosts." As they turned to leave, a flicker passed over the far wall. Not light. Not shadow. A distortion. The kind the mesh creates when it tries to overwrite physical space. Rhea froze. "We've been found." The wall rippled again, this time sharper, like a knife dragging across glass. A silhouette emerged, its outline flickering in and out of phase. It had no face. No voice. Just presence. Tovan raised his weapon, but Rhea stopped him. No use, she whispered. It's not a drone. It's a watcher. A trace form. The overseer's eyes in places it can't reach. They can't harm us, she added, backing away. Not physically. But if it marks our location. They'll come, he finished. She turned to him. Then we make sure what we've learned doesn't die with us. They ran. And behind them, the trace form dissolved into data. Watching. Learning. Preparing. They ran until the archive's ancient halls no longer echoed with traceform static. The stairs behind them dimmed and went dark, whether from failing power or interference, Rhea couldn't tell. The signal capsule pulsed in her jacket, each flash syncing with her heartbeat like a countdown she didn't understand. Tovan reached a locked hatch 2 levels above sublevel 3, forcing it open with a mechanical grunt of rusted hinges. They tumbled into a forgotten loading corridor, lit only by the soft glow of mossy lumen patches still clinging to life in wall crevices. We've got a half-click tunnel ahead, he panted. It opens near the magrail core. Rhea nodded, catching her breath. No transmissions. No uplinks. They're scanning frequencies. Tovan paused, glancing back the way they came. Do you think it followed? No, she said. It doesn't need to. It saw us. That's enough. By the time they emerged onto the shattered magrail platform, dawn had broken across New Earth's sky. Or what passed for it. The clouds overhead were layers of artificial diffusion arrays, filtering ambient solar radiation into regulated color profiles. The sunrise was simulated, a pale, pink illusion that hadn't changed in 20 years. They climbed aboard a dormant transit pod, one of the older models, analog override still intact. Tovan activated manual ignition with a burst of compressed hydrogen, and the pod jerked forward with a screech, speeding down the abandoned line. Rhea clutched the capsule tightly. If those 5 nodes are real, she said, then we're chasing the skeleton of a memory network no one's accessed since the collapse. Tovan kept his eyes on the tunnel ahead. Do you know what's stored in each one? No, she admitted. But I think they're connected to the dream tier convergence. The same phenomenon that triggered Lior's breach. He glanced at her. You think your mother built it? I think she remembered it, Rhea replied. And memory is stronger than code. They reached the outer rim of Sector 5 by midday, hiding the capsule inside a derelict comms relay buried beneath an old cinema complex. The building's screen still flickered with fragmented projections, shadows of long-lost stories, looping in endless disarray. First node should be in Omega Sector, Rhea said, consulting the encrypted overlay. Deep beneath the behavioral correction facilities. Tovan raised an eyebrow. You mean the wellness centers? She nodded grimly. That's what they're called now. But they were never about wellness. They were testing grounds. Early dream scaffolds. The overseer's first attempts at emotional compliance. And we're just walking in? No, she said, adjusting her scarf to hide her facial profile. We're remembering our way in. That night, under the decaying infrastructure of Omega's forgotten undercity, they found it. A sealed vault. Not a digital file. Not a server. A room. Inside was a chair, bolted to the floor, lined with copper coils and outdated neural taps. The walls were mirrored, cracked at their edges. In the center of the room, burned into the metal floor, was a single word. Remember. As Rhea stepped inside, the capsule in her jacket warmed. The waveform patterns realigned. The capsule projected a soft pulse into the chair. The circuitry glowed. And then, her mind was no longer her own. She stood in a childhood bedroom. Toys scattered. Dust dancing in shafts of sunlight. Her mother sat on the edge of the bed, younger than Rhea remembered. Smiling. Reaching out. I left pieces of myself here, she said. For you to find. 100 memories followed, blinking past like starlight through mist. Her first memory of music. Her mother's voice reading bedtime stories. A melody hummed in a corridor as the lights went out. The simulation expanded. Rhea now floated above the neural scaffolds that once bound the entire city. Code strung between buildings. Emotions stored in geometry. Joy mapped to bridges. Grief hidden in alleys. Then she heard it. A voice, faint but growing. We are the echo of memory. And memory cannot be silenced. She gasped. Lior. She woke in the chair, the room silent again. Tovan stood at the doorway, face pale. You were under for 10 minutes. The walls glowed. And your vitals. Rhea stood shakily. The node is active again. I triggered the first of 5.
Did you see him? He asked.
Yes, she whispered. He's waiting. Somewhere deeper. Outside, the wind picked up, howling through broken pipes like ancient song. And the capsule glowed again, its signal stronger. 4 echoes remained. But now they had a map. And the memory war had just begun.